All right. Welcome back to the Go for CEO channel with your host, John the Bomb. Building others means business. And look, we have another CEO, founder, entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs. That's what we do. We bring these people to the stage. We bring them to the Go for CEO community, and you get to learn how it is that they started thinking about these ideas. What did they do to start to implement marketing, scaling, strategy, employees, and all these different facets of a business, and then learn a little bit about them as well. So I've got David Williams, the founder of Products4Humanity. What an incredible product and what an incredible social impact he's trying to make in the world. And he's in the ideation / now ready to market MVP style, minimal viable product. We're going to see a little bit of the taste of what his product is. And you're going to learn a lot about just the mindset of where he came from corporate to launching this business, Products4Humanity. So David, welcome to the Go for CEO channel. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Awesome, my friend. So look, we had a little bit of a conversation offline and really got a chance to kind of get to know you the last few times that we've spoken. Wanted to have you on the Go for CEO channel. And I know that you're kind of in that launch space. And I think people could really learn a lot about what you did to really get it to this point, and excited over the next 6 to 12 months and longer to have you come back on to the Go for CEO program and see how your journey grows. So tell us a little bit about how you got the idea for Products4Humanity and where did that stem from? What's the ideation? What was that thought pattern to get you to, the beginning of this journey?
Right. Well, I'm a 33rd year veteran in children's products. I was director of global sales for GRACO. I was president of Baby Trend. I started 2 car seat companies, one of which is still running, called Kids Embrace. So I've been in the space for quite a while. I had never done a venture solely on my own. I had never done something complete. I'd had partners, or I was brought in as the industry expert to, and give it a piece of the pie type thing. But I'm like, it's time, 59 years old. it's time for me to finally do something that's mine and that I can control and see my vision through, if you will. And my mentor, who brought me into the industry, who was also my boss at GRACO, he brought me in 1989 as a sales rep, and then he became my boss at GRACO. And a few years back, he and his son-in-law started a direct-to-consumer stroller company. It was a good stroller, but it was nothing really out of the ordinary. There was no story to it. It was just, hey, here's a stroller. You can customize it by colors. And they ran that company for 3.5 years and exited for an obscene amount of money. I'm like, well, wow, that's interesting. So I started looking at what they did and asked him questions about it. And he can't consult with me too much at this point because he's got a non-disclosure, non-compete agreement. But we did have a few conversations in general terms. And I went, okay, well, that's great. And me being who I am, I don't do anything small. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I make an impact? Who's got the best stroller on the market? And I just kept, maybe it's places I hang out, but I'm in Denver. Cherry Creek is kind of our Beverly Hills. I'm from Newport Beach, California. I go out to Newport Beach quite often. So I'm seeing kind of the upper end of the market. And everywhere I went, I saw one brand of stroller over and over and over again. I'm like, who are these people? So I went online, took a look at it, saw some negative reviews. And I went, well, that's interesting. So then I started stopping moms walking along the street. Said, hey, I'm a guy, random guy, gonna build a stroller. Tell me what you like about this stroller. What do you dislike about it? And the same stories kept coming over and over and over again. I got about 15 of those surveys and I went, okay, I know what I got to do. So I took the product, dissected it, put some drawings together, called some people that I know over in China, because all these strollers are made in China. Every single one of them, I don't care who it is, they're made in China. And talked to some people that I have had relationships with for many, many years. Hired one of them. I've hired him for the 3rd time actually, and said, hey, his name is Prosy. I said, Prosy, hey, how do we do this? How do we make this work? And he goes, I've got the designer. I've got the designer for this. I'm like, cool, let's make this work. So I basically took the negative reviews from what I think is one of the top luxury strollers in the market. It is the top luxury stroller. Market share wise, they might not have as much as GRACO did, but they have, on that luxury, they own that luxury market. And so let me take those negative negative reviews and turn those around into positive products. So I wanted to create a better product. Now, again, I spent 33 years trying to protect children in creating safe products, products that I would put my own grandkids in, and I have 6 of them. So safety has been the utmost of importance to me. So that's how I got started with it. And then I got an inspiration to take it a step further. And I don't know if you want me to continue down this path or you want to.
Yeah, no, let's keep it rolling. I think, this is so cool because you really start to understand the mindset of what you went through, and then the connections. So I think people can really learn from it. So please go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was actually during COVID sitting on the couch, and I'm a spiritual guy, and I was just sitting there going, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do with this thing? What do you want me to do? It's COVID. I can't go out and raise much capital. China's shut down. How am I going to get product in here? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing with this thing? And I literally turned the TV on, and 37 girls in Atlanta were discovered who were being trafficked. And the average age, and I get emotional, so bear with me. The average age was 8 to 12. My 2 oldest granddaughters were 8 and 12. And I went, thank you. I know what I got to do. And it's one of those things that, as a father, you've got 3 girls, as a grandfather to 3 granddaughters, to put yourself in that mindset. If that were my child, if that were my grandchild that was taken, how would I handle it? How could I handle it? So I started feeling empathy for those parents and grandparents that had lost their kids and said, this is ridiculous. I've got to do something. I can't sit back. If something ever did happen to somebody that I personally knew, that their child or my grandchildren, heaven forbid, was taken, and I sat around and did absolutely nothing, I could never forgive myself. So that's when I started in on it. And the relationships that I've built through the human trafficking, anti-human trafficking, human trafficking recovery space has just been mind-boggling. The people and their stories, and your heart breaks. It absolutely breaks to hear their stories. And so, yeah, again, I get emotional because it means a lot to me. There's somebody who is on Clubhouse that you may not have talked to. Her name is Jenny Sue Jessen. Jenny Sue is a beautiful, beautiful lady. Her husband and her are salt of the earth people. When you look at Jenny, you go, whoa, because she has these beautiful, striking eyes, and you go, wow, what an incredible person she is. And then you talk to her and her heart and hear all that. Jenny Sue was sold by her grandfather from age 4 to 17. I'm like, how on earth have you gained the strength and the fortitude to not only continue to live your life and have a family and all of that, but then now give back? And her husband have, I think as last I counted, it was 138 children, boys and girls, in Bangladesh that they house, that were on the streets and being sold. And I'm like, okay, that's the people I want to help. Those are the people that I want to give to. So Products for Humanity, we're rebranding as For Humanity Baby Products under the umbrella of Products for Humanity. We're going to have other lines that we come out with that are not baby products, but this will be for Humanity Baby Products, and we're giving 10% of all sales to charities such as Compass 31, which is Jenny Sue, the Team Project, which is Lori Burns, which is another incredible story of what she's been through. Casa Teresa, who helped Lori recover from her trafficking story. And others. We're reaching out to others like the Tim Tebow Foundation and others to say, hey, we want to partner with you to stop this. And so that's kind of where my heart and soul is. It's not just about a baby product. Yes, I wanted to make a baby product that was the safest and I wanted to make it the best, but it's not just for to line my pockets or my employees' pockets. It's how do we make the world better? So this is really a social cause for us, is to say, okay, we want to contribute towards the stopping and the recovery of human trafficking. And as I said, as we continue to grow Products for Humanity into other ventures in women's apparel and in sporting goods and whatever other things that we may jump into, they will all be tied to some type of social enterprise, if you will.
Oh, that's very interesting and super humbling, right? Obviously, being a father of three girls, it boils my blood when I see that type of stuff. So it's interesting that you've tied a social impact to it, and it's driving you on a daily basis. So you mentioned having seen the top product in the line that you're in, competing against it. So what were some of the ways that you started thinking, all right, so I took these bad reviews, I've made some calls, I started putting these products there. Tell us a little bit of the journey of developing the product itself.
Well, I mean, again, there were renderings that went back and forth. We were doing. They don't have all the technology that we have as far as doing video calls like this, but we were on WeChats on telephones, and they're sitting there showing me the product, and hey, here's what we did. I'm like, no, change that, because obviously we couldn't travel back and forth. And I've been to China 100 times, so again, I have relationships over there, so it was pretty easy to say, hey, what about this? What about that? And we ended up with a prototype, which I have with me today. And believe it or not, this is the thing that blew me away. Back in the day when I first got into this, we would create wood molds and then mold plastic parts, and they'd be rough. We'd have to sand them down and create. Now they do it all 3D printing. So they built a stroller 100% from 3D printed plastic parts. And there's metal to it, but they bent those. And there was existing wheels, and we put those in. But it allowed me to get an actual working prototype. Nobody knew it was just a prototype. I actually have, if you go to into our Instagram page or our Facebook page or our website, everything that you see on there is a prototype stroller. And it's the one that I have here in different colors. And so we had, we've had numerous influencers review our product that were our competitors. I'm trying hard not to say their name because I just don't want to go down to the dirt with that. But they had our competitors' product, and they'll tell you if you go and see the videos. They tell you who they're comparing it to, and I'm like, okay, great, thank you. You give us reviews. But what I did was, once I got that first prototype, is I went back out on the streets, and I'm walking down the street, and people are already looking at me. There's this guy pushing a stroller. There's no kids in this thing, man. What's wrong with this guy? I'm like, I didn't care, man. There was no shame. And I walked right back up to my competitors, moms pushing my competitor's stroller. And I said, hey, I just built this stroller. I go, do you have a second to give me your feedback on it? And I interviewed 40 mothers. 39 of them said, I would have bought yours over the other. And the feature changes that I made, the improvements that I made, they're like, yes. And then they'd play with it and they would try it. And this prototype, again, 3D printed plastic parts are not the strongest in the world. So it's been bended and put back together a few times, but it's still working, still functioning. But even with that, they said this stroller is amazing. And the idea that you're making this social impact is everything. So it's kind of, if you will, trying to overcome that mom that wants to carry a Gucci purse or a Louis Vuitton purse. Do I want to go head to head with them on branding and try to go after it? Or do I want to shift their mindset to, hey, I don't need a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci. I can buy this and I can make a difference in the world. And that's what I gathered from all the interviews that I did, was they were more interested in, yes, the product is safe. Yes, the product is fantastic. But the buying decision over having, pushing the Louis Vuitton of strollers is, no, social impact. So we're giving little trinkets away. We've got bracelets that are being designed that will say, have our logo on one side, on the back side of it, we'll say another child saved. And we want to give those to everybody and get a conversation going. We want to get people to have conversations about, hey, you've got like 6 of those bracelets. They're beautiful. What's that all about? Oh, well, I'm helping a social cause, if you will. I'm helping to save kids in human trafficking. So that's kind of the mindset that we have right now. As you mentioned, we're pre-launch. We're getting ready to go into full production here, and it's exciting. It's going to be exciting to see the plans come together, and they'll be shifting and maneuvering, and we always have to be nimble and be able to move based on market conditions and feedback and responses that we're getting. But I think we're on to something that's going to be pretty substantial.
So that's pretty awesome. You brought to the point that you've been in China about 100 times. You've got great connections. So tell us a little bit about, was it a rendering, like a drawing that you kind of came up with And then based on this competitor, did you have some insights on mechanics, structure, wheelbase, spread, height, all that type of stuff? Because I think that's a big deal, when you think about even at a time where you couldn't even go to the manufacturers and be live, you did this really all through, like you said, camera shots and WeChat and a live type of thing. And I got a chance. I know we're going to show it in a little bit, the product itself, but I can't even imagine. I'm so not that type of person that could invent something and create like glasses. Even this would seem simple, but to me, but like I would have no clue of how to actually do it. So I guess walk us through that process and what was your corporate background that allowed you to then now be able to get it to a stage. Now you've got an actual product and you're about to launch.
Yeah, well, again, I've had 33 years experience in the industry. I've seen all these Chinese factories. When I was at GRACO, I was part of a team that put together a brand specifically for Sears, and we called it Euro GRACO. So they got their own brand of GRACO because they were losing market share. They were talking about dropping their children's division, and so we wanted to save it. It was worth, at the time, we were doing $25 million with Sears, and it was dropping every year, 2 million. We're just seeing it decline. So I had some of that, a taste of that when I was at GRACO many years ago of, hey, we could take product, we can spin it a little bit differently and create a different market approach to it. So I had that experience. But what I really did, to more poignantly to your question, is I went to stores and I looked at my competitor's product. I identified who it was that I wanted to kind of target that audience. And I went to the stores and I interviewed the store people. What do you think of this? It was interesting that I went to a Nordstrom store and I actually have it on video. And I'm like, what's the feedback that you get on this product? Oh, well, you put these adapters on it and it makes the stroller wobble and it wiggles and the adapters break or you lose them and they charge you an extra $30 for them. And then if you want to convert it to a 2-person stroller, you got to put these other clamps on. They've been recalled a couple of times. And then, so you convert it to a 2-person stroller, but the lower seat is smaller and they tell you to put your larger kid in it, which is kind of, because of weight distribution. I'm like, yeah, I agree, put the bigger kid on the bottom. But, because you want it to be stable. But why would you create a smaller seat? So that's just kind of the focus that I had. It was basically eliminate the adapters and make the seats both the same size. And the other thing was weight. Can I get the weight down? Because mom said it's just too big. I'm like, okay, well, it's got to be a certain sturdiness and to be able to house 2 to 3 kids. And unfortunately, that's going to be a bigger, heavier stroller. So, how could I reduce weights? Where could we remove some metal? And that kind of geometry, I didn't do myself. I'll be honest with you. I had the factory. This is what my goal is. This is what I want to achieve. It's got to be below this weight, and they have the engineers to do that. But really, I set out to eliminate the adapters and make both seats the same size. And I just started looking at other technology, just walking around going, okay, how does this, I need to create space between the bottom seat and the top seat. So in the single child mode, it's here, and then I want to raise it up. How do I do that without putting adapters? And originally I had like a stair step thing that was, big, bulky, black piece of, put it in here and then you put it in there, but there's no adapter needed. And it just was ugly looking. And it just kind of evolved into some technology that I had seen that somebody else had used on a different product and said, oh, that would work perfect for this. And again, sent it back over to the factory, said, here's what I want to go with. And they're like, okay, there's certain limitations because we can't have it go too far up or the weight so they handled that part of it, the geometry of it, if you will, to keep it where we didn't have tipping issues and that kind of stuff. And all of our products get certified. They're tested and certified to meet or exceed all the safety standards. I won't make a product that I wouldn't put one of my own kids in or grandkids in. So anyhow, that's kind of the process. And we had a couple of trial and errors, and we hit it pretty quickly out of the gate. I was pretty surprised. So then they built me a prototype, and they built me a prototype and this is where technology is just kind of it's grown to a point that, wow, we can do things that I couldn't do 15, 20 years ago. But they
Sure.
made me a stroller from 3D printed plastic parts. I'm like, I didn't know that was a real thing. I thought this was just like in some futuristic thing. Now the entire stroller, I mean, the metal parts are metal. The wheels are off the shelf wheels that there's a factory that makes wheels, and you pick whatever wheel you want, you combine them, so that's just a design and a aesthetics feature. But yeah, they made me a working stroller from 3D printed plastic parts, and it's amazing, and it's here with me. I'll show it to you in a few minutes, but it works, and it works very, very well. Now this one's been on probably 30 or 40 airplane flights, and it's been tossed around by the airlines, and it's been put through the ringer, but it still looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy.
I love it. I love it. So just before we unveil the product itself, tell us a little bit about, this is such a cool journey. And when you think of this idea, attach the social impact to it. But, how do you, you engage this manufacturer, but is it, are you typically putting like a down payment on? Tell us a little bit about kind of the structure of how a relationship with a Chinese manufacturer works.
Well, again, I've got years of experience with it, so I know the tricks, if you will. There are some tricks in doing business overseas. Every culture has a little bit different approach to business, and so having the experience that I had, I could foresee where I would be vulnerable, if you will, in certain areas. So an example of that, I made car seats years ago. We bought these molds that were probably 4 foot by 4 foot steel blocks that opened up, and a car seat fell out of it. Well, when it closed, they injected plastic into it. It heated it up to like 1200 degrees. Then it cools it, opens the mold, and it pushes. There's these pins that push it out. And if you ever look on the back of a plastic, you'll see these little round or oval marks. That's where the push pins pushed it out of the mold. It was $400,000-$500,000 in molds. And in the car seat industry, if you even take the mold off of this machine and move it to that machine within the same factory, you are required to crash test. So I'm like, okay, we got some vulnerability there. Do we replicate tools? Do we, if it's there, they know we're stuck. Are they going to start raising prices on us with every shipment, which has happened quite often in the past? Oh, labor costs went up, we got to raise your price. Material costs went up, got to raise your price. So what I did with this factory is I said, look, I'm going to own all the tools. I'm going to pay for the tooling up front. It's my design, it's my tool. Here's my contract. I want a price locked in stone for a period of 2 years. You cannot raise the price. Whatever price you give me, it better be in anticipation that in 2 years, you're going to still be able to honor that price. I want the tools. I want to have all the designs. They're all mine. And then immediately after we start production, I will have my quality control team over there go and find another factory that can replicate the production. And that's just what you've got to do. You've got to protect yourself. You never know, that factory could burn. There could be a labor strike. There could be a catastrophe that happens. And I've got to have duplication to be able to produce the product. So, those are some of the insights that I have in doing business in China, is that, you've got to protect yourself as best you can with contracts. But replication and competition in the manufacturing space is your best bet for protecting yourself.
Interesting. Awesome stuff. Well, look, obviously you've been on this journey. You're obviously a grandfather of quite a few of the little ones, and you have this passion for obviously what that came out of with the social impact side for human trafficking. Why don't we unveil the masterpiece that you've been put together? I think it's a great time to do that. And then we'll kind of get into what the next steps are and how you're envisioning it from a Gopher CEO perspective with client experience, employee engagement, and operational excellence in the near future here. So if I had a school special effect.
Well,
so
I'm going to move this camera. We've got some limited space here, but I'm going to move it aside here and do some adjusting and tilting so that you can see it. But that is the stroller as it starts out as a bassinet for a newborn child. This seat just simply removes. It can be turned around, put back in this direction, and you've got forward or backwards. As the child grows and moves into the next step, we put a seat in there. And the seat goes like so. It's a one-hand recline, which is tough for me to get around to, but one-hand recline, so it can recline back. Some people may choose to not use the bassinet, just go straight for this. Also, once again, turns around and connects backwards or forwards. Here's where it gets tricky. Here's where we get to be unique. So to convert this to a double stroller, we created these levers, and the seat actually slides up the handle to create space. So we don't need any additional adapters, which is going to cause instability and wobbling. So you slide this up. We have the adapters at the bottom that are here. They just turn out, and either seat can fit right into the stroller. And I'm doing this at a backwards angle, so it's a little tough. Anyhow, so it could be there. They can both be facing backwards. Doesn't really matter. And then if you have two kids and one's an infant, one's a little bit older, we can put the bassinet in at the bottom as well.
Oh, wow.
Now, another thing that we did a little bit different, and this is going to get into a little technical, and I forgive me for getting there, but this adapter here, as you can see, is a male part versus the female part where the seat hooks into. Our competitors is opposite. This is the female connector, this is the male connector. By doing this, we now can accept, without any additional adapters, 3 other manufacturers' infant seats. So Maxi Cozy, Nuna, and Cybex car seats will connect to our stroller without any adapters.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So we made it where you could take it, make it an infant seat, and eventually we'll come out with an infant seat. It just wasn't the thing we were going to do first out of the gate. So anyhow, I'll slide this back around so you can.
All right. Our very first Gopher CEO product unveiling. Awesome. Well, thank you for that experience.
You're welcome.
And having been someone that literally my 2.5-year-old was just starting to like not wanting to be a part of the car seat. But it's funny because the older two, until about 7 and 5, they still wanted to be in the seat. They still wanted to sit down. They still wanted us to stroll them everywhere. So it's interesting to kind of see the dynamic of it and everything. So thank you so much for that. And what a cool product, so excited to have that be a part. And how are you doing this? Are you doing it B2B? Like, are you going to big box stores, David, or are you going to be going straight to consumer?
Yeah, no, we're going direct to consumer. And, people ask me with my experience, why don't you go to these bigger stores? Just a little tidbit of information. The CEO of Walmart is Doug McMillan. Doug used to buy baby bottles from me back in 1992. He was the baby products buyer at Walmart. So obviously I've got connections that we could go big box, but big box puts so much cost onto the product for the manufacturer to bear. They want to hit certain margins. They want you to have, a 3% co-op allowance with them, a 2% return allowance. They want you to buy out your competitor's inventory that you're taking over the shelf space for. And, you have to have millions and millions of dollars in inventory. And all of that gets passed on to the consumer. So I wanted to come direct to the consumer. With the advent of Amazon and then my buddy Rob, that was my boss and mentor in his story with his son-in-law, he told me that 98% of their sales took place on a cell phone. Now, back when I was in the industry, selling the big box for GRACO, we were, see, touch, and feel, man. You got to see it, you got to touch it, you got to feel it. That's what the consumer wants. You've got to be in the store, you got to be on the shelf. The mindset has changed, and it's changed over the years with the advent of Amazon and the internet and direct web buying, if you will. So we want to go direct to consumer, which my competitor's product is $1,000 before you start adding on the adapters and all those kind of things. We've got ours priced at $8.99, but we promote it all day long, 30, 35, 40% off. So it ends up being around $600 for the consumer. So rather than only touching that elite at the top, we're also bringing those that maybe are at the mid to bottom budget buyers up to a higher level, giving them a quality product that maybe they couldn't afford our competitors' product, but now they might be able to stretch a little bit and afford ours. The whole idea is we want to have a broader market appeal. Obviously, the more sales we have, the more money we're giving back to social impact. And so that's really where it's at. It's just, how do we appeal to a broader range market? So we're doing e-commerce. We have an online store. We're going to be doing quite a few promotions. We'll be doing a lot more blogs and podcasts and such, not to get the awareness out there and get the word out. And I'm really hoping that we're going to get some celebrity endorsements, because there are several celebrities that have stepped into the anti-human trafficking space, and I think we want to help them, and hopefully they'll help us. We'll get the word out.
I love it. Well, look, it's been exciting to really get to know you over the last couple of weeks. We've had a few conversations offline. We've emailed, and then we got a chance to put this together, and had a chance to talk a few minutes before we started the conversation. And look, Go for CEO community, this is a real cool journey of a real product, right? A consumer product that, someone with the 30 years experience, launches an idea, has the connections, starts to, vibe with those connections, and really produces something spectacular. So excited over the next 6 to 12 months to have you back on, David, and really kind of share, where you've gone from here, what the market is sensing and what they're doing, how they're buying it, and the journey of that side of things. So really cool that you were able to come on the Go for CEO channel. We tend to end our interviews with CEO. So it's client experience, employee engagement, and operational excellence. And I know that you're not necessarily in every single step, already kind of booming it, but
Sure.
If you think about, maybe a 20-second highlight of what you envision the true client experience from a Products for Humanity perspective will be for your clients.
Well, first and foremost, as I've said, I wanted to create the best product that they could possibly get their hands on. So I think I've eliminated, a lot of the negatives from my competitors to give them a product that functions the way that it should function, that they're going to be completely happy and excited for. And we're also, like I said, we're giving hats, we're giving trinkets aside, giving trinkets to them, bracelets and such, not because we really want to create not just the experience with the product, but we want them to be proud of the social impact that they're making. So that's, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but that's, we've embraced the customer to say, not only are we going to give you the best product, but we also want you to be a part of and get something back for what you've done to help promote the social.
For sure. I mean, look, I think a lot of companies have turned the corner of understanding that not only profit margin, but impact margin, right? And how much are you doing to kind of give back to society? So really cool stuff. Employee engagement, obviously right now, you're kind of that solopreneur stage right now. You've got some vendors, you got some people that work with you. What would you say for now is the main reason that people love to work with you, that they're engaged, that you have this manufacturer thirsting to be able to do the product for you?
Well, I think I do have a couple of employees. I have Prosy that's working for me over in China. And again, he's worked with me. This is our third company together. He's been with me for over 12 years. We have a great relationship. We go to dinner, we spend time with his family, such not. So, that's become a friendship. And I think that's really what I look for. I've brought on two people in social media, one of which is still with me. She's a senior at Austin Peay University. She's in her last semester studying and getting her degree in social media marketing. She's also an influencer. I'm like, I don't understand that space. Caitlin, take that, run with it, do what you want. She loves the idea. It's her first real job. I mean, she worked at, she was a model for Pink Lily in Nashville, and she worked at a Starbucks, and she worked at, I don't know, some other retail stores. But to be able to take, it's almost an apprentice type position, but I'm like, run with it, And I brought somebody on to tutor her, and she did for a while. She tutored her a little bit. She had a little bit more experience. She was 5-6 years older and had some corporate experience in marketing, and kind of gave her a little bit of footing. And unfortunately, that person's ideology of our company didn't fit ours long term. So so we parted ways. We parted ways as friends. But I'm looking for people that have the vision that I have, that embrace that feel it in their heart, that we want to do this for the social impact. There's hundreds of thousands of talented people out there that could do the jobs that I need them to do. But if you don't have the right chemistry, if you don't have the right mindset that we're all on that same journey, ultimately it's not going to work. So I've learned over my many years of hiring people in the corporate world that, it's not just talent. It's having that cohesive relationship. And I don't know if you know it, I don't share this too often, but I was part of a national championship baseball team in college. And, we had a couple of years that we struggled. And in 1983, we won the Division II national championship. That particular year, we went to Hawaii on spring break to play in a tournament at the University of Hawaii. And every night we were out doing a hula hoop contest at Bobby McGee's and Waikiki and just cutting it up. But that time together created such a cohesive blend within our team. We came back from Hawaii. We won 21 straight games, won our division, ended up going to the College World Series and winning it ultimately. So I learned from that experience that, it's chemistry. It's creating a team. You have to have a team. You can't have one person. And I played for this legend of a coach. His name's John Scalinas. And if you ever get a chance, Google 17-inch speech. You'll get an understanding of this guy he was the winningest coach in college baseball when I was there. And he taught, everybody will tell you that ever played for him, he taught me more about life than he did baseball. And he's always said, surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with the right people. So, he's passed on now, but still his memory is instilled in me through the experience of playing college baseball. That you have to have a cohesive team. You've got to put good people around you, or you're not going to be as successful as you can be.
I love it. What a cool description of really employee engagement, but really understanding what it truly takes to really build that cohesiveness in the culture around a company, even from its infancy to throughout team building and all those types of things. So really thank you for that. So last one is operational excellence, managing the supply chain, furies that are going on, obviously the building of your product line, the materials, all that type of stuff. What are maybe just some high level 20, 30 seconds of just how you're envisioning to make sure you keep your operations steady and fluid?
Well, I'll tell you the first thing that's going to happen as soon as we launch this thing is I'll be hiring somebody in operations because it's never been my strong point. But I will say that we are using a third-party logistics company to warehouse our product. They've got 46 locations around the country. They do freight forwarding every day, day in and day out. So I've had multiple meetings with them to say, look, what are the supply chain issues I'm going to have? Obviously, the Port of Los Angeles has been backed up and it's notoriously had some issues, and primarily based on trucking that they can't unload the containers, but it's not that way in every city. So they're like, no, we can move it to San Diego. We can move it to San Francisco. We can move it up to Seattle. If we have to, we'll bring it around to our Houston port. We have all these ports and we will manage your product to put it in the 3 warehouses that we've identified so that we have the lowest possible zones, shipping zones, to keep our freight costs down domestically. So when we're shipping to our customer, that was the first and foremost, is how do we keep the cost down? It's a rather bulky package, as you can imagine. So high cube items can be very expensive. So I've allowed somebody else that does it day in and day out to say, look, you manage that piece. And I did interview several companies before I found one, but yeah, I'll be bringing somebody on for the operations side, because I'll be honest with you, it's not my strength. And I know where I'm strong and where I'm not. And so you fortify yourself with people that can make you stronger.
No doubt. So awesome, David. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on to the Gopher CEO community and the channel. Hopefully this is, our first product unveiling type of interview. Hopefully it hits millions of views, but would love to just kind of get your parting words. Would love to just share, obviously, how to get a hold of you, your website, make sure people know where you're on social, and how you're going to be exploding. So take it away.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you can reach us at right now. The website is Products4Humanity, but I think forhumanitybaby.com also comes to us as we're doing this branding shift. Same as our Instagram page. We monitor the Instagram page if you want to send a message there. Caitlin manages that. She can get you a hold of me. My email address is davidw@products4humanity. Feel free to write me a note. Would love to hear from you. But I think the parting words I want to give to somebody is, you have an idea, explore it. Explore it. You never know what's going to come from it. Don't ever think of it as a waste of time, because it's always a learning experience. It's a growing experience. And maybe this product that you've come up with isn't going to make it to market, but you're going to gain the experience to say, okay, next time I come up with a product that may be better, I know how to get it to at least that. And you'll go through the stages. Again, I've been in this for 33 years, and this is the first time I'm launching my own company. So I've been a part of several other launches. So it's the experiences that I gained along the way that have got me to this point. And I think that's the thing. And I just encourage everybody, if you have an idea, explore it. It's never a waste of time, because you're always going to learn from it.
No doubt. Right. It's the next best version of yourself that you create and get better and bigger. So awesome,
Absolutely.
David. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the Go for CEO
My
channel.
pleasure.
Go ahead and slam that like button, leave a message for David, and subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't subscribed to the Go for CEO community, as you can see, David is an entrepreneur by heart, spent many years in corporate, but now launched his own product line in the humanities space and doing some great things with social impact. And I bring you the CEOs, the founders, the entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurs around the world. We've been from Australia to the US. Keep on growing this channel. Tell some people about us, share the channel, and share this interview. And let's get Products for Humanity on the map with Go for CEO. So I love the Products for and Go for CEO. See, we were meant to be together. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor to be on there.
awesome, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.